yeah. It's that time. It's Monday. Hey, how are you doing? My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, the show on the internet that answers your traffic and police questions. And now it's 5 days a week. Yeah, that thing that I did in retirement for 3 days a week to sort of have fun and stay connected. Well, now it's a full-time gig again. 5 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 10 a.m. That's now. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. with my buddy Logan from Brooks, Alberta, where we talk about, Ontario law and Alberta law. And I'm getting requests for British Columbia law. So we're going to be talking about all of it as we go about going about things. What's going on? How was your weekend? Was it an ice storm for you? Because my favorite thing to do on Sundays, aside from spend time with family, is to spend time searching and bidding on auction stuff at King of the North. And if you were wondering why there was no auction at King of the North, I was confused because I was watching countdown timers and I was throwing bids, and then everything got canceled because they were worried about major outages with communications, which is fair. It would have been bad for them had only I been able to bid, and then I would have won everything. So it's good for my wallet and good for them if it goes on. And I believe it's today. I have to pay attention because that's what I'll be doing later. Got into a bit of a is it a tweet war when it's not really a war? The deal is that someone made a post in a comment to Dave Shellnut, who's the biking lawyer. I guess they had posted about some mishmash they were doing on bicycle, and someone was commenting about the fact that cyclists and motorists should be held accountable, and they immediately said, better check the timestamps to see if it's voiceover cop with a fake account. I got better things to do, and I'm happy to tell you what my opinions are without hiding behind a fake account. So I think cyclists, pedestrians, and motorists, when they break the law, should get tickets. They should be held accountable. I'm not hiding. That's exactly what I think, and that's exactly what I say. But I thought it was pretty funny, so I responded, and Shellnut responded with a video of police officers rolling stop signs. And that was something he posted to me to try and trigger me last year before. So he's using old video because I don't think it happens that often. It might. I can't defend anyone who breaks the law, even police officers. So police officers should stop for stop signs too, and they should be held accountable, which is what I said when he first put that video out. And then he said, well, no, I don't think anybody should be getting in trouble for it. I want everyone to be able to break the law and make it not law that you stop at stop signs. They want something called the Idaho stop, which is a kind of ridiculous thing that says cyclists, because of their magical powers, should be able to treat a stop sign as a yield sign where everybody else has to stop at a stop sign. So that might work in Idaho. I don't think it's appropriate for Toronto. In fact, I'm not the only one who thinks that. I think that it's just not appropriate for any major metropolitan area. 613 says, hi, Sean. Hey, how are you? Lee Hart says, like this program, keep us updated on driving. My pleasure. If you're watching on the TikTok, please go ahead and hit the like button. That's when you smash the screen. Don't smash the screen. That's expensive. But tap the screen until your fingers go numb, because it allows the algorithm to be notified of the magic that is happening, and then you can share it with more people, and then more questions come in. You know, that is the big thing. This is a show that is for you. Is it FUBU, for you, by you? No. The deal is that it's a show that if you don't ask any questions, you don't get a whole lot of answers. And not everybody asks the question because they need answers. Sometimes they just ask questions about, what the favorite donut is, or what the heck happened on the weekend. But others are looking for serious answers to their serious questions. And others who are watching may not even realize that that's a question that they need the answer to as well. And that's one of the reasons I have decided to read the most magical of magical books. This one, the Driver's Handbook. It's the Ontario Driver's Handbook, and it's available free online if you want to just read up on it. But you can also buy it in stores for $14.95. I bought mine at Shoppers Drug Mart, but you can get it at Canadian Tire. You can get it at the library. Can you get it at the library? I meant to say bookstore, but I think you can get it at the library. Regardless, if you're going to be driving, that's the book you study. Even if you are a driver and you want to cover any stuff and things outside of the HTA, I think that's the best guide ever, well, outside of me as well. Now, what does that mean? I'm reading it. I'm literally reading it page by page, so I can give people who are new to driving an opportunity to have their hand held as they go through it. Not everybody's into reading, and this is possibly the least exciting information you can get through. I know, because I just read the first chapter aloud, and you know what? I even learned something. I did. There was stuff in there that if you watch the video on YouTube, which is now on its own playlist, there's a playlist that has two videos, the introduction and the first chapter, which is their introduction. You're going to find something you didn't know. Guarantee it. You're going to find something you didn't know. And I am doing one chapter a week until it's done, and then I'm probably going to continue with the motorcycle version and just make it available. And I'm playing with some cool stuff. Now, I actually read the first chapter, but I'm tempted to have my AI version of me read the second chapter and see if it's tolerable, aside from, of course, me coming in to do some commentary, because not only am I reading it to you, I am actually explaining things, discussing certain topics, giving stories and explanations, which is more of a one-on-one kind of thing like we're doing right now. All right, we're going to talk about other stuff now. We're going to see what else is going on. I got some dad jokes from Michaela, who was first into the party and said, greetings and salutations. Greetings and salutations, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Flagging your dad jokes for later. If you've got dad jokes, please share them with me, because I love to read them at the end of the show, even if sometimes I forget and then have to unend the show, which means I just stop the music and come back and read the dad jokes, which has happened more than on one occasion. This is a good comment from Akela. If bikes don't stop, then cars shouldn't stop. Who comes out for the worst when the rules are ignored? Yeah, you know what? My thing is this. It's like having a play or a movie, a script, a show, or whatever. If everyone has a part to play, but one group does their own thing, they're rogue, well, then it all falls apart. Cyclists are already sort of making it up as they go along. They want to be vehicles when it's convenient for them. They want to be pedestrians when it's convenient for them. And of course, they want to be cyclists when it's convenient for them. And I'm not talking about all cyclists. There are some good cyclists, but there's a whole bunch who, A, don't care what the law is, B, don't know what the law is, or some version in between. Am I hating on cyclists? No, I am a cyclist. I was an avid cyclist as a young person. I continue to ride because I enjoy it. But I'm not one of these people who blows through stop signs and makes up rules on my own. And thankfully, I'm 50 and I have not ended up with a terrible situation, which we see all too often with cyclists getting injured. And then the cycling community gets up in arms and says, it's somebody else's fault. Is it? Is it really? Okay, then. But then again, I don't want to argue. I already argued openly. I'm curious to see what Shellnut responds, or if at all, because it usually starts this big tweet thing where it goes back and forth. King says, do you do parking enforcement? I've written parking tickets, but I'm not a parking enforcement officer. I'm not an officer at all anymore. Underneath my name, it says former police officer, because that's what I am. I used to be a cop in Toronto, and now I have retired from policing after just under 25 years of service. I started as an auxiliary officer, became a court officer, which is now a special constable, and then I became a police constable and served not only in a divisional capacity, but eventually went to traffic services and then the motor squad and the CIB, which is the Criminal Investigation Bureau. I've done a whole bunch of different things. And then I got into a collision. I was hit by a car on a motorcycle, not running a light, I might add. I was following the law, and a car came out of a parking lot and hit me because it didn't know where it was going. It couldn't see me. Long story. But I ended up off the road due to injury, and I never got back on the road, sadly. But I reinvented myself as a media relations officer, and I started doing the TikTok thing, educating people online. So that's how I got to be where I am. Zero Dark 73, thank you for the gift. I appreciate you. I didn't see, and I often don't see the animation as it comes up, but I do get alerted, and I see you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Michael King says, morning, thoughts on Alberta's new rules restricting photo radar to school construction zones. I didn't see that in the news, although there's been back and forth about photo radar, specifically in Alberta, because now, correct me if I'm wrong, Alberta was the deal with the Ring Road, right? They had private companies providing automated enforcement, and it was around Ring Road, and there was a controversy. There was controversy about whether or not that was a cash grab. I have some opinions, obviously, lots of them, and I'm going to share them with you. So first of all, I think they should be on every single road. There should be not one road where there isn't camera enforcement. That's not a popular opinion, I know. But there should be no excuse or opportunity for people to break the law, because it's breaking the law. And if you let them break the law in some places but not others, only enforce in some places but not others, you're giving people this belief that they can get away with something. The mouse is away, the cat will play. Well, we all know that there's not enough police officers. Let's back this up. We all know that there's not enough police officers to enforce every law everywhere. So people play the odds. They do stupid things and unlawful things because they think they're going to get away with it, and very often they do, which is a big problem. We need to take away that opportunity, not because we want to take away your rights. You don't have the right to speed. It's breaking the law. Yeah, So if you get a ticket whilst breaking the law, you're getting caught for doing the bad thing you are doing. You need to get spanked. You need that reminder. Why do parents spank their children? Aside from the weirdos, the ones they spank is to teach them a lesson, and they do it with love. It hurts the parents more than it hurts the kids, likely to bring harm to their child. But the idea is to teach them a valuable lesson that will maybe keep them from touching the stove when they smack their hand, or in this case, doing something that could lead to serious injury or death. That's it. Just being parents, and in this case, robot parents. So the Ring Road problem was there was allegations that the private company was placing these cameras in specific locations that would unfairly target people who were changing speeds or coming off the highway illegally, of course, because they were, placed in such a way that they were lawfully enforcing the law. But regardless, people get their knickers in a knot because they don't like getting caught breaking the law. Just saying. Anyway, I don't think that they should be just in school zones. And then people have the audacity of even complaining that school zones, well, kids aren't in school 24/7. So why on earth should you be able to speed or not be able to speed and break the law when kids aren't there? Oh, I got so much to talk about. If you're new to the channel, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I do it 5 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then, of course, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know that's 5 days a week. The daytime, the first three I mentioned are at 10 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays are at 9 p.m. We call it Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, and I'm joined by Logan Grant from Brooks, Alberta. By the way, if you know cops from any other jurisdiction, a place outside of Ontario, even out of Ontario, if you've got cops who want to come on the show and talk about their particular skills and abilities, their knowledge of the Highway Traffic Act, their Traffic Safety Act, I would love to have a guest. Absolutely. And that's Murray Campbell, too. You want to join the show, Murray? Sergeant Murray Campbell of the Toronto Police Service was who sat next to me almost all the time when I was in studio with the Toronto Police, and I miss him. He should join. He should come join the show. Let's see here. Boop-a-doo, what do we have here? If you talk to the Crown regarding your traffic ticket, could they use your conversation in court? Oh, this is a question from ZeroDark73. So could they take the conversation that was where you're asking to reduce the fine, or I don't know if they can. I don't think they can. Like, I can't even present as evidence conversation as a police officer when I was one with the person that I charged. Like, if you said anything to me, well, that's hearsay, right? That's I could enter into evidence the recording of it, but I couldn't enter into evidence my statement about things you said. They would stop me. I imagine it would be the same situation with the Crown. I imagine. I don't know, but I imagine. But here's the deal. Don't share information that you don't want to be included. They're not your friends. They're the other side. And I've got no problem with prosecutors. They're doing their job. Just like I was writing the tickets, they were basically conducting the investigations on my behalf. That's what they were doing. It is not what but they're not your friends. And the police officer, as much as I'm your friend all the time, and I want to help you, I'm not your friend when you tell me that you have drugs or a gun or you're breaking the law, because I'm going to arrest you. You know what I mean? If you got stuff you don't want to share, don't share it. That's pretty much how it goes. That said, you can absolutely negotiate with them and say, listen, I want to save the court time. And what would you do if I, were to plead guilty to an offense, take responsibility? What could you do for me? Could you let me plead down to a lesser included? You don't need to necessarily have somebody go on behalf of you. You don't have to pay someone to do what I'm just saying you could do. Negotiate, because it's in the interest of saving the court time. That's the thing. Let's see here. What's next in the list? Can I ask what the verdict of my ex's careless driving causing death charge is? That's generally public information. I don't think that's private. I think if you go and look it up, you can probably find out what the verdict was. I think. I've never actually done that, and I'm speculating here because I've never asked it. Like, there's privacy stuff, but all those things are like, you can even go to the courtroom if it's already happened. You won't be able to. Interesting. Is it just because you're interested to know, or you want to find out if you're going to be responsible for half of the sentencing, like if there was any monies transferred? Let's see here. Oh, I just saw a notification that David Shelnut saw my response and liked it. So I'm curious what he's going to send back. All right. Thin Blue Line Gaming. Oh, he did respond. He says, understood. Thanks for the clarification. Cool. What do we got here? Thin Blue Line Gaming. Morning, Sean. I'm watching from school. Awesome. And I've got, if you talk to the crowd regarding traffic, no, we talked about that already. Big fan, love hearing about the laws. That's Logan. Oh, which Logan is that? Is it Logan from Alberta or is it a different Logan? Either way, I'm glad that you love. It could be Logan Grant from Brooks, Alberta, but I don't know if that's his TikTok account or not. It could be. It's possible. Kevin Samantha, thank you very much for the. Sorry, I called you Samantha. I added an R, Samantha. There we go. And Zero Dark, you're very welcome. Bunch of activity in the Instagram. Let's get in there. Ginger's Nan says is there, and West Holland Goods. How you doing? Love your work, by the way. I know I've told you that, but love your work. He makes badge wallets and amazing stuff. Let's see here. Peter John William, welcome. Spider, hey, hey. He says, good morning, Sean. Does the driver's handbook change often? Actually, it's updated on a fairly regular basis when significant laws change. I don't know if they do the printed version at a different rate than the online, but there are changes. So this one was printed in 2024, January of 2024. It's now a year old. I don't know if there's been significant changes to the stuff that it talks about, although I'm sure there's different laws that have changed. What has changed? Like, for instance, a collision reporting. Now, instead of $2,000 being the minimum or the threshold before you have to legally report a collision, that's $2,000. It used to be $2,000 amongst all vehicles involved. Well, now it's $5,000. That wouldn't be reflected in this, but you ought to know the new one and the old one and be up on things. So that's a thing. But that's what you talk to me for. And I'm looking forward to starting to see people engage with the chapters as I post them and ask questions about them. I'm really curious to know which parts give people headaches, which parts people have difficulty absorbing. Anyway, Jay Sutter says, any advice for TPS communications interview? I can't speak to that interview. I've never been involved. I've never applied for the communications job. By the way, good for you if that's what you're applying for. It's a tough job, but we need good people to do it. In terms of the interview process in general, be honest, be well-groomed, well-dressed. Aside from how to answer questions, just be honest. If you are deceitful, if you're hiding, if you're holding back, they're going to see it and they're going to think you're holding back, and that's not a good look. Yeah, I can't think. I mean, you don't have to go jogging to do that test. There's no training. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Behavioral events interviews, and there's another term that we talked about a couple episodes ago, and I can't remember for the life of me what it is. If you're very often asked to talk about times in your life when you experienced certain things. If you don't have answers for those things, you're going to have a problem. But, think about times in your life where you had conflict, when you had to stand up for yourself, when you had to stand up for somebody else, when you had, somebody do something that was questionable and you had to think about whether or not you were going to tell on them or not, whether that be legal or in school. Like, think of answers. And they're going to give you guidelines as to how far back those stories can be. Usually it's like within the last 3 to 5 years type thing. So you can't talk about the story when your cousin stole your Lego and you didn't know if you had to tell your mom or not. Dan Werner says, I couldn't agree more. I think that's involving with the fact that they're, we're talking about cameras. He goes on to say, is it true that they are giving them more powers to enforce speeding and distracted driving? If so, I would like this. So if we're talking about cameras, they already have the ability to enforce speed. In the GTA or in Ontario, they're limited to community safety zones, which don't have to have schools in them, but they do have that restriction as to location. One solution would be make everything a community safety zone. Then there's the answer. I don't know why people are so uptight about this. Don't break the law. You don't get tickets. In terms of distracted driving, I know in Europe they have a technology that's capable of seeing whether or not you're on the phone and then issue tickets based on that. And one thing that I think is very interesting about European lawmakers is that they've, whether it's they flip the switch or they just happen to be really tough on it, they're serious about traffic safety, and they should be, because traffic safety is a serious thing. But demerit points are applied on tickets that are automated or enforced automatically. So if it's automated enforcement, you lose points as the driver, as the registered owner, which is different. Here in Ontario, you don't, which is not cool. I think everyone should get points taken off. And if little Bobby borrowed your car, you say little Bobby's in deep doo-doo. And little Bobby's going to take responsibility because little Bobby is my son, and I lent him the car, and I know that because I keep track of when he uses the car. Whatever the case is, you can transfer those points to somebody else, and little Bobby deserves every one of them. I'm sure there's room for abuse there too, but whatever. What can I say? Peter John Williams says, If you're talking to the Crown for option 2, you're already pleading guilty, so they don't care if you tell them you broke the law. Yes, but if you're talking to the Crown, you're not pleading guilty. You're suggesting that you would be willing to plead guilty in a negotiation, but you're not committing to that because you could turn around and say, well, no, if you're not giving me a deal, I'm going to have a trial. You're not just because you talk to the Crown doesn't mean you've committed. And you can have a first appearance with a Crown attorney. You can discuss the options, and if you don't like the deal they're offering, say, no, I want to go to trial. And at trial, you can negotiate again. It might be the different Crown, it might be the same Crown. I'm not a big fan of Crown shopping, nor am I a big fan of wasting the court's time. If you're guilty, take the better deal and move on with your life. Learn from the experience and don't waste court time. If you are, in fact, not guilty, then have a trial. Like pleading guilty for something you didn't do is not okay. And if you tell the justice of the peace, which is not in minor traffic, it's generally not a judge, it's a justice of the peace. If you tell the justice that you're innocent, but you just want to save the court time, they're not going to accept your plea. They're going to strike it, and you're going to have to come back another day. What do we have this? It's Dan says the MTO. Oh, okay. And now I understand. I think. Are they giving the MTO more authority to deal with other laws? They already have the authority. MTO can enforce all the laws of traffic related laws onto all motor vehicle operators. However, their own internal policies suggest that they are only going to do that with commercial motor vehicles. Yes. So, but totally, they have the authority already. I thought you were talking about automated enforcement. Jay Sutter says that was helpful. Thank you. You're very welcome. They passed critical in assembly. Perfect. Assuming interview is next. Applied for police, but unsuccessful. So this is a step in the right direction. And it is a step in the right direction. Very often people don't take into consideration that once you're hired, you're in-house and you can transfer quite easily within positions. Like I, again, started as a court officer, became a police officer. They don't give you nothing's for free. And I mean that by they don't just give you a job, but your pension starts, your benefits start, you're in the system. There's a track record of a supervisor who knows you. Background checks already being done. Like it's a little bit easier to hire someone internally than someone who has to start from scratch. Okay, let us see what's going on. Boombox 999 says, hi, is there a way we can talk? I have a weird thing to ask about cars and insurance. You're talking to me right now. Granted, you're talking to me through TikTok. If you want to ask a more lengthy question, you can go to trafficcop.ca, and there you are able to send me a long form message. It says, send me a message. That's actually the button below the button that takes you to the YouTube playlist where you can see the handbook. Okay, Matthew Runaway says, what's something you've noticed recruits are lacking coming out of the academy? Any tips? I don't know. I mean, here's the deal. It's a different generation. It's a different type of thing. I think a lot of people, when they come out of the academy today, and this is generalization, not specific to the academy. It's just in general, like people are more interested in doing, or spending quality time with their Xbox or PlayStation than working paid duties and really getting in there and working. And that's a wide generalization. There are many who go to the police college and they come out and they're looking to get knee deep in work and learn everything. And there's some who treat it like a job as opposed to a career or a calling. And I think policing is a calling. It's something that's part of you and who you and everything about how you are. You're now a police officer 24/7. Okay, half the school of thought is, don't get sucked into this being a cop 24/7 thing, but you are a cop 24/7. So I think that some people just treat it casually as a job, and it's so much more. I don't know. I have to give it way more thought to give an in-depth answer of that magnitude. What else? There's a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about. We got this. We got a quote for later. Do me a favor, please share this live with everybody. Just share it. I mean, we got 2.8 thousand likes, 2.9 thousand likes. I can't get over how big the video has gone that is talking about when can your children sit in the front seat? So often I'm asked the question, and so rarely do I see it being executed. When do you think kids can move in the front seat? Now, if you've seen the video, you know what my statement is. But the level of argument that I got from people, like The simple statement is backseat is best until 14. Somebody said, well, it says on their rear view mirror on the sunshade, well, it says 12 is fine. Okay, 12 or 13 or whatever they said it was. But I'm not talking about the manufacturer, and the manufacturer isn't a doctor. They may have consulted with doctors. I'm just telling people what the doctors here that I've spoken to have said. Just like they say children should stay rear facing until 4 years old. It's near impossible with the size of my children when they were that size. But that doesn't mean that it isn't the advice of doctors. Then people watch half the video and go off saying, I should be able to choose if I wear a seatbelt. The law is the law. And they just lose their minds over. They haven't even watched the whole video. They're so busy in their head making commentary about it and disagreeing with it. So I thought that was interesting. Over 100 and, actually, I don't even know how many, 120,000, 130,000 views. Shocking. But it's nice to see that it's a good conversation. It also talks to or speaks to the demographic, because obviously the majority of people watching you'd think are young people. It's a TikTok thing, right? And I'm specifically speaking about TikTok. We could do a whole different show based on metrics that differ based on the platform you're on. And the argument is, which is better? Always, which is better? Well, it's a totally different situation. Every platform has a different audience. And I would arguably say that TikTok has the biggest and the best audience. Sorry for everybody else who's watching. And actually, in terms of representation right now, the majority of people are coming through on X. Yeah. The majority of my viewers at the moment are on X because of the time, I believe. TikTok seems to come alive at night. When I do the light nights, we have far more people. But for years and years, every live stream I held would get 16,000 people over the hour. And things have changed. I think it's really been hurt by the whole anti-TikTok movement in the States and in Canada. And I think it's ridiculous. I was recently at TikTok headquarters in Toronto. Beautiful place, by the way, magical people. And I cannot imagine where this bombshell of information that makes TikTok such a risk in Canada. But anyway, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with that. It is something that I think is ridiculous. But I'm not a super secret spy giving reports to the about what they're cooking in the basement of that building, because I think anyway. What can I say? Is there an interesting chapter in this book? That is the question many people have asked, and the answer is I'm looking forward to finding out. I have already found. So what was I said earlier that I learned something, and I want to go back and just refresh my memory, because what was it? It was in relation to, so it's something that I think I knew and forgot, and that was in relation to the condition for G2 drivers and the number of people that they can have in their motor vehicle. In fact, I know that I knew this, but I also forgot it. And I have answered it probably 100 times, and I don't believe that I've been saying the second half, which is it only applies to drivers who are under 20, right? That's what it is, isn't it? Let's double check. Conditions of a G2. So in addition to the following restrictions, they apply between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. G2 drivers aged 19 and under. So it's drivers under 20, and the restriction is also for passengers under 20. But I completely forgot about that. So if you were 20 and you got your G2, you wouldn't have any conditions as to the number of people in your motor vehicle. Yeah. At least not in the second 6 months. So everybody has it in the first 6 months. See, yeah, I forgot. In the first 6 months after receiving your G2, no, wait. Well, hang on. That's okay. I'll read the whole thing. In addition, the following restrictions apply between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. to G2 drivers aged 19 and under. So it's only if you're under 20. In the first 6 months after receiving your G2 license, you're allowed to carry only one passenger aged 19 or under. After 6 months with your G2 license and until you obtain your full G license or turn 20, you are allowed to carry up to 3 passengers aged 19 or under. The wording, I think, stinks. But regardless, I always forgot about the age factor for the driver and always just talked about the condition. So as much as, I'm helping people by reading this book, I am, in fact, refreshing my memory and learning stuff again. Oh, I got the Canada's federal election warning. Uh-oh. Whenever I talk about anything related to that, the AI picks up on it and says, he's talking about it again. Okay. Can you explain the laws on passing on a double solid yellow line versus a single solid yellow line? Can you pass on a double solid line, but with caution? Let's get into it. So, in the province of Ontario, and only in the province of Ontario, there is no law for passing a single or double or triple or quadruple line. Lines are painted on the ground but don't hold value in terms of enforcement. I can't write you a ticket for crossing that line. Doesn't exist in law. I think every other province in Canada, it does. Now, that's what I'm going to have to talk to Logan about tomorrow night on air when we do the 9 p.m. After Dark, but I love it. That's awesome. Now, when we're talking about, well, what if I cross the line and cause a crash? Well, you're still responsible for the crash. There's just no ticket for the line. Picking up what I'm putting down? The deal is that those lines are there as cautions. A yellow and white line are different. Do you know what the difference is? If you didn't, I'll tell you. A white line means that the traffic or stuff on the other side of that line is going in the same direction as you are. The yellow line designates that the traffic or stuff on the other end of the other side of the line is going in the opposite traffic direction, which means it's head-on traffic. Bad place to be if you're crossing over. But that is the that is the question. I just read a comment that made me laugh. So yeah, that's the story. Hope that helps. Of course, if you have I will say this. I imagine that the dotted line is going to become part of evidence. Not that you can write a ticket about it, but I can write that as evidence. So when the driver crossed the double lines and got into a head-on collision, I would note the fact that there were double lines present, suggesting that it was an unsafe place to pass, which would contribute to the fact that you shouldn't have done it. And where are the lines solid? Usually in a place where it's prohibited for passing, like, crest of grade where there's no visibility. That's where you see one side has a dotted line and one side has a solid line. Stretch of road where there's a curve with no visibility. These are all things that are not going to do well for you in court. And yeah, that's a thing. So it's all very interesting. I find all this stuff fascinating, but I don't know if anybody else cares. That's not true. I know they do, because I had 760,000 followers when I was running the Toronto Police account. And speaking of which, this is where I laughed. Tommy says, "Why aren't you a police officer anymore?" ? And then Captain says, "Did you get fired from TPD?" I'm not a police officer anymore because I chose to leave early after just under 25 years of policing. I left for family reasons. My family needs me at home. I'm able to hit the basement or the studio and do this live stream, and then go back to being a dad and taking care of the stuff that I need to do around the house. And it was a very difficult decision. It wasn't one that I planned on making, but you do what you got to do. Now, so the question was, did I get fired? No, I did not get fired. I have a great relationship with the Toronto Police. I love them. They love me. You know how it goes. But I did choose to leave, and I left about 8 years earlier than I planned to. And I've talked about going back, but it's not something I can do at the moment. Okay. Mel B says, where'd Mel B's question go? Oh, there it is. Is there anything you can do about incorrect info on a collision report can it affect charges? Mel, what kind of incorrect info are we talking about? Like the chain of events don't match your recollection of the chain of events, or you weren't there, or what kind of information? Because obviously incorrect information is bad. It depends if it was information from an independent witness that was provided, because if it's independent witness, although it could be incorrect, it's given quite a lot of weight. Generally speaking, the most important evidence is the physical evidence taken at the scene, being skid marks and debris fields and the drawing of where the cars were left. If you're talking about, the fantastical over-the-top statements of a third-party witness versus your rational statement, well, unfortunately, you're involved. You have a bias into the situation, so sometimes the third party gets more weight. But it all depends on what happens. So yeah, let me know, what is it? Oh, time of the incident is off by hours. Oh, that is interesting. Was it done at scene by a police officer, or was it done by at a collision reporting center? So that is important for position of the sun and things like that. I would contact the investigator and find out. But Mel says I wasn't given anything other than the driver's name and license. So yeah, it's a more involved conversation. So you get something called a driver's copy, and on that driver's copy is likely going to be what the the time date of the piece of paper was printed versus the actual document. Afterwards, the officer is going to produce an investigative report, a proper collision report, and that one should reflect the actual times and dates. Now, you can look into it, email them, because they probably gave you their badge number, and their badge number at tps.ca would be the actual email address for that officer. And police were at scene, happened Thursday, got email on Saturday, but it says happened at 1:05. Yeah, I'd contact them and let them know that there was a boo-boo there. In terms of getting an actual copy of the collision report, it costs money, so you should call your insurance company and get them to order it, because otherwise it's a couple hundred, well, it's either $60 to $150. Actually, it's as high as $450 in some jurisdictions, so let your insurance company pay for it. That's what they do. Yeah, and don't do it. Some insurance companies call you and say, hey, just call them, order it, and they want you to pay for it. I don't know why they would do that. Yet they do. Akela says, there's pleading guilty with an explanation. Technically, there's not. It's guilty, and there's not guilty, and the explanation doesn't absolve you of anything. It's just comments for sentencing. So guilty with an explanation isn't really what it sounds like. I don't know if it's an American thing or what, but it's interesting. Let's see here. Boombox sent me the email. Cool. I'll check it out afterwards. Stu says, I thought so. I think it's a common misconception that a double line you cannot cross legally. You're very welcome. So it's still a good, even though that there's no ticket in Ontario, and I think they're going to change it. They talked about changing it. Even though there is no current law, knowing that you're responsible for everything that happens after you cross the line should basically suggest you shouldn't cross that line. Like, and yeah, it's not. There's a number of things that in our HTA have been changed this way and that way. Like they used to have a charge for failing to drive in a marked lane. I don't know why they took that away. So they repeal certain things, they add certain things. For instance, the what is it? The Environmental Protection Act charges have all been wound up and put into the Highway Traffic Act, which is a little bit odd for me. I think so, a little bit odd. You know, I don't know why they do things. I want to rewrite the HTA. I'm hoping that the government reaches out and says, Sean, fix it. I think it's flawed. I don't think it's flawed because it doesn't do its job. I think it can be more detailed. I think we should have minimum signs, minimum speed limit signs posted like they do in Quebec. I think that it should be in plain English so everyone understands it. I don't think that this. I think it's such a mess right now. But you know what? It gives me a reason to go online and explain things because I can demystify it in my head. Okay. Why don't we have laws regarding solid lines? I don't know. I don't know how we've ended up here. However, we are here. Waddell Engineering, how you doing? Mac Duke 12. How's it going? PortugalUncorked.ca. I'm guessing you are importing Portuguese wine or you're talking about Portuguese wine. I'm guessing. And now I want to talk about wine. I am not having any wine. Now, I'm not a big drinker to begin with, but occasionally I like a glass of wine and I'm avoiding sugar. I've been like 21 days without sugar or carbs. It's so weird. Okay, now I'm going to talk about my new eating habits. So I've done this before. I lost a tremendous amount of weight years ago, and I kept it off for the longest time. And then I got married and had kids and found my weight. And then I got into I found some weight, and then I got into a collision. That's where I was hit by a car when I was on a police motorcycle, and I gained like 50 pounds. And I've been fighting with that 50 pounds since my collision in 2018. But so I blame Giancarlo Morelli, by the way. Great guy, but he's the reason I lost 20 pounds and I found it again because he transferred back into the office and then he was like, hey, you want to go get lunch? So I was eating stuff that I shouldn't have been eating, but it was really fun. And now that I'm at home working on no fixed schedule, I didn't really. I thought I'd do something quickly to get into a better, healthier lifestyle, start walking more, but I find myself just not getting out as much. So I've made the decision to go super healthy, and I started talking about it on Shap Rewired, which is a channel I've sparked, but I've not been working on. It's for travel, tourism, tech, health, all that stuff. I want to talk about other stuff, and I started working with a product called Life Force, and then I put that on hold for a time being, and I'm just doing it on my own at the moment. But anyway, I'm not having sugars or carbs, and I feel great. Like I feel great. I also sleep like a rock, which is why I slept in this spring. But that's a whole different thing. No one was the wiser until I just mentioned it because I don't have to report to anybody. Okay, let's go into Brownie. What is this? We'll just call you Brownie. Did you retire from the force? I left. I retired from policing. Yes. Bo says, are U-turns illegal at traffic lights? Well, generally speaking, they post signs to invite you where they want you to, or post signs prohibiting it. If you're at a traffic signal and you are making a U-turn, first of all, I got to tell you, first off the bat, like U-turns are not safe. I've had driving instructors argue with me on this, but they are not safe. Too many collisions occur of them because the people who are making the U-turns are doing so unsafely. When you make a U-turn, you are taking on full responsibility for everything that's happening on that road. You are ensuring that it is safe to do so prior to doing it. And if you're wrong, you are going to eat it because everyone is going to sue you. You're the cause of that collision. And it's very hard to make yourself, it's very hard to absolve yourself of that responsibility. Like, how do you blame the person driving straight when you hook a Yui and they plow into you? You're doing something wrong. You're in the path. People do a lot of weird things. I should get some great video. In fact, I have some great video of different things that I need to share with you. Anyway, the deal is that I see people making U-turns on reds, which means you're entering the intersection on a red, which is not legal. It's proceed before green, and that is a whole other ball of wax. Don't do it. Follow the signs, and I really would encourage people to either use a private drive, like go into a mall parking lot, make a bunch of right turns and go around the block. Just be very careful when you're picking a U-turn position. Yeah. And SP, thank you for the responding on my behalf. Mr. Steak, no sugar, no carbs is so hard. It's hard for about a week, and now I'm in autopilot. I am never hungry. I'm never full, which is a problem because most people eat till they get an indication that they're full. I don't get an indication that I'm full. So I can eat, like last night, I ate my dinner, and then my wife said, I'm full, and I ate her dinner, and then I really felt full, and that's too full. But I don't get hungry. If I don't eat breakfast, if I don't eat lunch, I can have one meal a day. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't have cravings, nothing. So no carbs and no sugar is not hard, except when I went to Costco to buy a pizza for the kids and a couple of hot dogs because I was there and I wanted me to bring back food. Yeah, bring me hot dogs from Costco. No problem. I bought hot dogs and pizza, and I have a cheat fix for the whole pizza thing. But I bought the cookies for the family for dessert, and these are $3.50 cookies, and they're like the size of one of these headphone cups. They're enormous. They're like a half a pound cookies. I bought 4 of them because I didn't realize how big they were. Now, I didn't eat one, but I smelt it. The entire car was consumed with this amazing chocolate chip awesomeness. And it was torture. I wanted so badly to eat that cookie. I don't care if it was good, bad, or otherwise tasting. I just wanted to have it because it smelled so damn good. I did not have it. So it can be done. You can resist temptation. Let's see here. Oh, this is a great question. Such a great question. Okay. Why can you be at fault for someone brake checking you and causing an accident? Why can you be held at fault if someone else brake checks you? Well, first off, you're following too close. If you get into a collision, right? Now, chances are if someone brake checked you, they jumped in front of you and slammed on the brakes. That's truly what a brake check is. They are guilty of stunt driving in the province of Ontario. Brake checking qualifies for stunt driving and they should be charged. The problem is evidence. Do you have a dash camera? Because if you don't have a dash camera, you need one. A dash camera would have been an independent witness event or witness perspective. It would provide evidence of what actually happened. So you need to have one. And if you are tight on money, know that you can get cheapies. You can get one for $30, $50. That'll do the basics, enough to at least exonerate you in a situation where you were truly brake checked. Then you can invest on crazy ones like I have. I have one that I think was $500, and then it broke like 2 weeks after warranty. So I bought another one. So I've got now, $800 invested or something crazy. Mind you, I got the second one at King of the North auction, so I saved some money on it. But still, I've invested too much on them. And to be honest, my Blackview was replaced by now 2 Thinkware U1000s. So I've actually spent well over $1,000. But you know what? When the first one failed and I was ordering the second one, I was lazy and I didn't install it. And that was the week that I got rear-ended on the Don Valley Parkway heading north. Have a dash camera. I prefer the ones that have front and back camera. That's my personal thing. Not only does and I think buying the best quality one for me works. I have 2 dash cameras in my, like I have 3 cameras now. I have a front and a back and a second one in front because I was testing a cheapie just so I could report back on whether it's good or bad. Having anything is better than nothing. That's the story. Because if you can show how the person got in front of you and brake checked you, you can avoid paying a deductible. You can prove that it's not your fault. That is what my mumbo jumbo statement about cameras and brake checking is. If it's just no witnesses and someone brake checks you, it is possible to determine, how aggressively the person in front of you was parking. And I talk about, impact where it was, because when someone brakes, their rear end goes up and then you hit them low, and it's an indicator that they were applying the brakes heavily. It's not a guarantee. At the end of the day, you're following too close if you don't stop in time. That's the belief. And that's where you can end up getting in a situation. Buy a dash camera. Okay. Let's see here. Charles wants to know, can you still become a police officer if you have had your license suspended in the past? Here's the deal. According to the requirements of the Ontario policing, or most, I'll use Toronto Police as an example. And I'm going to go to their website. TPS is verifying that I'm human. I've never seen this before. Really? Wow. Okay. I've never seen that before. Sharing. Here we go. Actually, before I do that, I want to do this. I'm going to change this to, no. I want to make me bigger. Beep. I'll turn it into a circle. There we go. All right. Yes, we'll leave it like this. Changing settings, like settings. Okay, here we go. The careers page at www.tps.ca/careers will take you to everything you need to know about joining the police service, at least the Toronto Police Service. And then if you scroll down, it talks about your driving record. And, what it says is that you have to have no more than 6 demerit. Here we go. Possess a valid driver's license with no more than 6 accumulated demerit points, permitting you to drive an automobile in Ontario with full driving privileges. If you had been suspended in the past, but you have resolved that issue, I see no reason why you wouldn't be able to get a license. Now you need to articulate, hey, I was 19 and I was a silly person and I didn't drive well, or I got into a collision and I didn't pay my bills, but that was 19 and now I'm 25 or I'm 30 or I'm 40 and I've obviously learned and I've had a clean record since then, is very different than that happened last week and I'm going to be different going forward. You have to have a proven track record of doing the right thing afterwards. Yeah. So yeah, go here, read all about it, learn about the police service you want to apply for. Special Constable is where I got my start in terms of paid service. They have lots of roles available, So 3 basic roles: prisoner transportation, working in a division supporting police, and I believe the Booker role is the third. Oh, here they have a whole bunch here. Well, that's sort of everything. And now they cross train and do all sorts of cool things. But they're an amazing resource. They really help policing. Parking enforcement officer is what it sounds like. There's Aaron. They enforce parking laws. They give people tickets for parking when they shouldn't. And for those people who suggest that they're not the most amazing people on earth, or that they're not important, or they are the reason the city's capable of moving. People would just park everywhere if it wasn't for them. Let's see what jobs are currently posted since we're here. Oh, we got 5 jobs. Temporary administrative clerk. Great. If you don't know where you want to work with the service, but you want to do something, you could become an admin clerk that's temp, and that means you're filling in for someone who's on leave, long term, and then it's possible to turn that into a full-time position later. Yeah. Yeah, it's very often it's difficult to get into the police service. This would be your gateway. Volunteer chaplaincy is what it sounds like. It's a member of the clergy coming in and volunteering. Parking enforcement officer, hey, oh, that's been open since last week, I think. Since the 26th of February. It's been open for a while. Want to become a parking enforcement officer? It's a great job. Let's look. 75,677 to 82,486. It is a full-time job. It comes with benefits and everything. 40-hour shift. And I love shift work. Everyone who complains about shift work, I don't know why, because I think it's the best thing. You can go to Costco when nobody's at Costco. That is the number one reason to be on shift work. I loved shift work. Monday to Friday I did not like. That was the worst part about becoming injured, was because I no longer work shift work. Lots of cool stuff, and you're outside. Like every day is different. The other thing was communications operator. Well, intermediate technical analyst in repair services. 35 hours a week, 84.6 to 95.7. And you can read all about it. Are you a tech person in the radio industry? This could be for you. But then there is communications operator, 77,846 to 102,276. And these are the people who are answering the call when you call 911. That's half the floor, and then the other half of the floor is dispatching police officers to help you. This is all about helping people. And just because they're not wearing uniforms doesn't mean they're not doing incredibly important work. Apply. That's what I'm saying. And you also have to know that these applications or these position postings aren't available forever. They are temporarily available. They will close, and then once they close, they will start reviewing all of the applications, and then it's a process. It takes a long time. If you're not ready to apply now, when you are ready, apply. Don't waste time thinking that it's going to be around forever. Okay, let's get back into some questions. Jared Bear says, I see a lot of people U-turning at left-hand turns at lights. Is it allowed in common it's allowed in common in Florida. Jared Bear, it's not prohibited unless it's signed otherwise, unless it's in front of a railway crossing, bridge, tunnel, viaduct, crest of grade with no visibility, or curve with no visibility. Those are absolutely always prohibited. But at an intersection, unless it's prohibited by a sign where it says no U-turns, then it's not prohibited. You just must make sure that you're doing it safely. Are you in Florida now? Or are you from Florida originally? I'm talking specifically about Ontario law and all Ontario situations, but I see it done everywhere. Whether it's legal everywhere, I don't know. When I say everywhere, I mean, wherever I go, I see wild and crazy things on the road. Terpy Clay says, hey, Sean, long time. Hope everything has been well. I have no complaints, my friend. Glad to hear from you. Okay, username, which is an icon. Friend lost his license due to a seatbelt ticket he forgot. Will he forever lose his license in court? A seatbelt ticket? If your friend lost their license, it was likely not the seatbelt that did it. It was likely all of the other tickets that came before it, because a seatbelt ticket's only 2 demerit points, and depending on what kind of license they have, that alone wouldn't have, like if they had a clean record, got a seatbelt ticket, unless they just chose not to pay for it, or I guess that's what it is. He forgot a seatbelt, or he forgot to pay for it. So failure to pay for your tickets will result in suspension, but when you pay your tickets, then within 4 days, you can reinstate your license with a reinstatement fee of about $300. So no, it's if they don't pay the reinstatement fee and don't reapply to get their license, they will lose it. And if they wait long enough, they will actually have to apply for a license again and take all the testing, which is not going to be fun. But if but you don't lose a license for the seatbelt ticket. It was the inaction, not responding to the ticket, or they had so many points accumulated that they triggered an actual suspension based on points accumulation. Depends on what they did. But I appreciate you asking the question. I hope that helps. Mr. Steak says, and by the way, Mr. Steak. So long story about Mr. Steak with the fabulous logo. Mr. Steak was in the live stream on a Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, and we started calling him Mr. Steak because he runs what's it called? A Chop Steakhouse in London, Ontario. So I said, we ought to make you a logo. We did. Now it's his account. This is we can take credit for the fact that his superhero steak man is in fact a product of Ask a Traffic Cop. He asks, my wife wants to. Here we go. My wife wants to drive with you for a day just to see how many infractions you see. I think we should totally do that. So one of the things that I'm working on as a project with my buddy Brian Max, who is a professional race car driver. He is a principal with a racing team. He's also an automotive journalist who reviews vehicles. You can find him at Brian Max or at Brian Max on all platforms. And he and I are going to go for some drives for lunch. Those drives will include drives through different areas of a city, finding a different location to have a meal, and then a drive home. And each video will capture driving infractions that we find and issues that he sees from the racing perspective, as well as issues I see from the law enforcement perspective, and of course, our review of our meal. So we're going to turn it into a little series that might become a regular thing. We want to go through and find different communities that have different bad, what do we want to say, bad reputations. And we want to see if they're real. So people are really hard on Brampton. Is Brampton as bad as they say? We'll find out. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're already having a lot of fun doing all the other stuff we do, but now we're turning this into a series, and we'll share it with you soon. What's the penalty for 18 kilometers over the posted speed limit when it comes down to demerit points? 3 demerit points. So when you get to anything over or 16 and over, the first threshold is 3 demerit points. And 3 demerits, the points stay for 2 years from the date of the offense. And this is where it's screwy because the conviction is for 3 years from the date of conviction, and those dates don't match. So if you were to pay your fine, let's say you go to court a year after you get the ticket, and you plead guilty in court a year after the offense took place, you would have 1 more year of points. In fact, you'd only have 1 year of points. They'd be applied at the conviction point, and they'd stay on for 1 more year. But you would have 3 years of your record being affected. And here's the real cool thing, or not cool thing: insurance don't care about points. People are all so worried about points, but points don't affect your insurance. Convictions do. So when you get a ticket for 1 kilometer over or 20 kilometers over, I don't know why I did that for 20, 20 kilometers over, the insurance sees a speeding conviction. The number of the speed number impacts your points and impacts your fine, but it doesn't impact the impact to your insurance company and your bill. Hope that helps. Let me know if it doesn't. If you need more, we'll talk about it. Dylan says, get a radar detector, and he's telling Matthew. And then he further says, can speed all you want. Yeah. First of all, we don't usually use radar. So Dylan, your advice is, well, useless. Radar detectors detect radar measurements devices, which we only use in moving vehicles, moving radar. And would you get a radar detector? Would it help you? It might alert you to every other car around you, which has radar being transmitted constantly because of all the devices that use radar, like the ones that detect vehicles coming at you and Bliss and so on. So you get a lot of false calls, and it would keep you slower for sure. That said, it's a $170 ticket and 2 demerit points. And if we believe that you have it in your car, we can rip that car apart looking for it. We have search and seizure authority under the Highway Traffic Act, which is pretty awesome. So Dylan, you've got really crappy advice. Let's see, what else does Dylan chatting about? Oh, Dawson says, how long does the suspended license stay on your record in insurance? So the conviction would stay on your record. Your suspension history is there forever. I don't know if your insurance company sees suspension. I'm not sure how that works. They see the conviction. I don't know if they see the suspension. So what is the suspension for? Was it a driving suspension, a administrative suspension for stunt? Because again, police see everything till the end of time. It's there. It's just a 3-year window that the insurance companies can see. Boom, boom, boom. And yes, Matthew rightfully responds to Dylan saying, they are illegal in Canada, my guy. Dylan says, everything is. It's all. People just call them that. I don't know. Dylan's just yapping. Dave Audette, what's going on, brother, man? He says, hello, Sean. One of the guys at 42 got a radar detector last week. Amazing. Did it involve screwdrivers or just suction cup removal? People don't get it. Now, I don't understand why they're even produced. And many of them are manufactured by Bell in the province of Ontario. But you talk to my buddy Logan Grant, and we'll be speaking to him tomorrow night at 9 p.m. for Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. They're legal there. So what happens is people slow down when radar is being utilized, and then they speed up again. So you temporarily slow someone down, only to have them speed up even more to compensate for the loss in time, which is, by the way, a big baloney thing, because you don't need to go fast. Like, you need to leave 10 minutes earlier. You do better getting somewhere on time, leaving 10 minutes earlier than trying to go 10, 20, or 30 kilometers over the speed limit, because all you're going to do is get to the next traffic light right next to me who's doing the speed limit. It's pretty silly. Mind you, there was a douchebag yesterday who was driving a Lexus, a two-door Lexus. I was in Vaughan. I was at Highway 7 in Bathurst, and this jackass it was raining. So it's terrible weather. There's freezing rain everywhere. And this guy is all over the road, weaving through traffic. That's someone I would have loved to have arrested for dangerous driving. At very least, careless, but I would have gone. Like, it was ridiculous. And then they turned into a residential area. And by the time I made it to that intersection, they were like 500 meters or more down the road. It was ridiculous. Yeah, that's someone who needs to be pulled out of the car and reintroduced to rules and regulations. Dawson says, I was told from a cop that if you have window tint, that is, say it again, read it again. I was told from a cop that if you have window tint, it's illegal. But if you're not doing anything bad, most cops likely not pull you over for it. Aha. So tint is dependent on the jurisdiction you're in. One jurisdiction might say it's legal because that's their books, their safety standards allow it. Others will say it's not. So for instance, Alberta does not allow any tint, zero, no tint at all. So if you drive from Ontario with tint that is legal in Ontario and you get to Alberta, technically speaking, they can give you a ticket for illegal tint. They can take you out of service. It's unsafe motor vehicle there. So what happens? You get a ticket. They can even say you're not driving away until you take the tint off. That can happen. Generally speaking, they use discretion because you're passing through, but if it's not lawful there. In Ontario, if you have more than 30% light blockage, meaning you have you have less than 70% visible light transmission coming through the windows, less than. So we'll say 35% tint, 65 getting through. That is unsafe for the road. You would get it. You would have your license plates pulled. You would have a ticket for operate unsafe motor vehicle, and you're not going anywhere. At least not on four wheels. You'll be taking the taxi. Well, I guess four wheels in a taxi, and your vehicle is probably going to get towed, unless you would be appeasing the officer by peeling the coating off. And then they would just give you the unsafe motor vehicle ticket and then likely let you drive home. But that's discretion of the officer. Now, do we go after tinted windows as aggressively as other charges? No, we're focused on the stuff that leads to serious injury and death on our roads. We're talking about the big four: speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. But because we're looking for the fast vehicle, we're looking for the vehicle that's drawing attention, often we're missing the tinted window. But if you make yourself known, if there's a reason to look at you and you're looked at, well, you're going to get the ticket for tint. I mean, not every officer cares, but you should be getting the ticket for tint. If I can't see inside the car when I was a police officer, if I was driving on the road and I saw your vehicle but couldn't see you as the driver, you were getting a tint ticket, even if you were driving perfectly nice. But I can't see inside, so I don't know if you're wearing your seatbelt. I can't see if you're using your cell phone. I can't see if you're drinking booze. I can't see if anything. And you're a risk to everybody on the road because drivers and pedestrians and cyclists are looking at you for those nonverbal communicative transmissions of information. Yeah. They're looking at you for cues that they see you and you see them. An acknowledgement. Like, now you know I'm looking down and now you know I'm looking at you. You can tell it's an obvious thing. Well, in tinted vehicles or dark tinted vehicles, you can't make that eye contact. You're effectively not there, and it's very unnerving. Let's see here. Dawson says, depends. I had 5% on all windows and 40% on the windshield and got pulled over for it. A lot, he says. Yeah, because you should. Anything on the windshield is an instant drive unsafe motor vehicle charge. I wouldn't let you drive away. I would pull your plates for any window tint. So yeah, don't. Just bad idea. Captain T says, love your content. Wish more people would watch your videos. Would be a safer place. Captain T, I really appreciate it. You can help that. You can follow, you can share, you can retweet, you can do it all. Any help would be appreciated because all I want to do is make the roads safer for everybody. So retweet my content, share the content. You can repost stuff on TikTok, but that personal reference by way of sharing means a lot. It does help out. Now, also, if you know people who are looking to get their driver's license, they have to start. Where did my book go? Here's my book. If they're going to start reading this book, the Driver's Handbook, not everybody has fun with it. Not everybody likes to sit and read. So if you want to help out, send people to the new series that I have on the Voice Over Cop YouTube channel. You can link to it from my bio in TikTok or go to trafficcop.ca. And I have a link. The first button is the playlist on YouTube for that. And that's a cool thing. The first chapter was, oh my God, it was so boring to read because it was about like how old you have to be, what are the requirements, what if you're coming from another country, what are the different classes of like, is it driving? No, it's not the nitty gritty of driving, but it's stuff you need to know. We get through it. We're going to move on. And as we progress into actual driving law, we'll get a lot more commentary. There's not a lot that I had to chime in for. It was just a matter of getting through it. It was still 30 plus minutes, maybe 38 minutes to get through that. Oh, yeah. And to think I've got to start reading the next ones. I might employ some AI assistance. I've just digitized myself. I'll share it with you. I'll make a video with it. And you can see it's going to do all the reading. It sounds similar, not perfectly like me, but similar to me. And I wonder if I can share it with you right now. Let me see. Let me see if I can open it up. I'm curious to know what you think. Oh, wrong browser. Close this one. Okay. I'm going to open this up and see what if the video has transcribed. I doubt it would. It took forever. Did it? No. Yes, maybe. It did. No. Yes. I can't tell if it's finished.
The official Ministry of Transportation, MTO.
Does it sound like me?
Handbook. 1,000 kilograms gross weight or registered gross weight or any truck or combination provided the towed vehicle is not over 4,600 kilograms. May also drive in Class G. Diagram 1104, Class C.
Allowed to drive any school purposes bus, maximum of 24 passenger capacity. May also drive in Class F and G. Diagram 11A5. Class F. Allowed to drive any regular bus, maximum of 24 passenger capacity.
This is
allowed to drive for safety reasons. If your physical or medical condition means you cannot be licensed, you will be told when you apply. Once you have a license, you should report any change in your medical condition that may affect your ability to drive safely.
By law, doctors and
optometrists
must report the name and address of anyone over 6.
Love it. Anyway, that is the AI clone of me, and I might expedite the so one thing that's really cool, and I will share this with you. Hang on one second. Can I do it in such a way? Yeah, hang on one second. I want to show you something, just this little preview reel. Because the coolest part.
Hi there. I'm your Synthesia avatar. Did you know I speak many other languages? Por ejemplo, este soy yo hablando español.
Je peux aussi parler français. Incroyable, n'est-ce pas? Ready to make your own video in any of 30 plus languages? Click. Hi there. I'm your Synthesia avatar. Did you know I speak many other languages? Por ejemplo, este soy yo hablando español. これは私が日本語で話しているところです。Je peux aussi parler français. Incroyable, n'est-ce pas?
So, yeah, I think I said I was going to do it in 150 languages. Apparently, I'm incorrect. It's about 30 languages. But I want to take all the videos and convert them to, stop talking. Yeah, no, I'm making all these other video on all the other languages, whatever's supported, because I want to be able to help those drivers from other communities. Let me know what you think. Is that sufficient to get through the book? I'd like to know your opinion. Okay, what we got here? Captain T, thanks for the rose. Saw the gift after you posted, or after I looked back up. Oh, interesting. Let's see here. Ice Queen says, hi, Sean, I have a question for you. When I go to my first driving test, do I have to provide a car? First driving test is your G1. There's no driving. It is 20 questions for street signs and 20 questions rules of the road. No car required. G1 exit, which is your G2 test, you have to bring a car. And, of course, for your G test, when you go from your G2 exit to G, you have to bring a car. Dawson says, I ran into a cop that gave me my first speeding ticket. I told him that speeding was not worth it. You know, it's amazing. So story that I tell all the time is that I got a ticket for running a stop sign way long ago. And I'm friends with the cop who because he works for York Regional Police in the motor squad, and I was motor squad. We got to know each other. I'm like, I know you. And he goes, oh, no. Anyway, yeah, he gave me a ticket. And I always give him a hard time about it, like to this day. Davy Jones says, congrats on your retirement. Thanks very much. I appreciate it. And you're welcome, Ice Queen. Okay. I think we're at dad joke time. Okay, hang on a second. Here we got Ah. Okay. Akela was explaining something he said earlier. Thursday steak and salad lunch in Brampton. This is yes. I may have to come out to do Thursday steak and salad lunch at Brampton in a place called, I forgot what you said it was called. Okay. Akela says, doesn't really sound like you and lacks your inflection, but the tone is different. The big thing is, can I help educate people using the AI clone to do the bulk of the reading instead of hours of voiceover? Because it takes a long time to get it perfect. And then just come in and do the commentary, or should I read the whole thing myself? I don't know. I want to get it done as quickly as possible to help as many people, and then I want to do it. In any case, I have to do it in the other languages. I have to do so. Maybe just do all of them that way. I can even. What am I going to do about the ones where the commentary? I guess the commentary for the other ones would have to be in AI as well. Less good, but I don't speak 30 languages. I barely speak this one. And Akela says, all good. Still all good AI voice for reading these. Okay, good. Hard stop at 11:30. So he's already gone? Oh, at 11:30 he's got to go. Gotcha. Oh, Oscars for steak. Okay, here's the dad jokes, and then we're gonna get out of here. So, why did the man name his horse Mayo? Because sometimes mayonnaise. I don't have the horse sound. Otherwise, I would play it. All right, dad joke. I went to the zoo and saw 2 baguettes in a cage. The sign said they were bred in captivity. That's actually really good. I like that. Okay. Dad joke. Teacher says, didn't I tell you to stand at the end of the line? Student says, I tried, but there was someone already there. It's pretty good. It's a dad joke. Star Wars dad joke. Did you know it takes 3 banthas to make 1 sweater? Who knew they could knit? I wish I knew what a bantha looked like. Is that the ones who steal all the stuff or drive that big thing? Is that a bantha? Are the ones with the goggles? What are banthas? Who can tell me what a bantha is? Okay. Quote, not a joke. Each generation doubtless feels called upon to reform the world. Albert Camus, the Nobel speech maker, Nobel Prize winner. That's his Nobel Prize speech. Okay. Every generation thinks they're saving the world from the last. Is that the take? Interesting. A lot of people screwing it up right now, aren't they? All right. It has been a blast as per usual. My name is Sean Shapiro, and this has been my pleasure to chat with you. I will be back tomorrow night for Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, runs for, I say an hour, but last one was 2 and a bit. 2 episodes before that were 3 hours. They're too long. I'm trying to stay to an hour and a half tops, maybe 2 hours. No more than that. Anyway, have a great day. Be safe. If you're going to drive safe, drive sober. If you're going to park legally, or Aaron will be out to get you. All right. Be well. Talk soon. Ciao for now. Bye, Mr. Steak. Oh. What do you call a soldier with no legs? Army. I missed that one. Oh, okay. I missed this one. It's so important. Elsa Lemon wants to know: Can I hold my 10-month-old baby while taking an Uber? No, you may not. I had to stop the music for that. You are not permitted to be in an Uber without a proper child safety restraint system. You have to be in a car seat. In a 10-month-old baby has to be in a bucket. A bucket being the baby bucket that you left the hospital with if you were in a motor vehicle. Absolutely not in your arms in an Uber. There is no exemption under law for Uber. Now, the driver would be eligible for a ticket for $240 and 2 demerit points. So they'd be an idiot if they took you. But taxis and buses have an exemption, so you could be in them, but it's not safe. It's not safe. At very least, A baby bucket is what you could use to carry your child around everywhere. You could even strap the bucket into the seat placement of an Uber, and then you could ride in an Uber, but not your arms. I see stuff about kids, and it drives me bananas. Davy Jones sent a gift. I don't know what it is, but it looks fancy. Thank you very much. And Dawson says in an incident, or an incident happened on September where I got assaulted and the guy got arrested. Part 2. The cop won't tell me anything about the guy. Am I allowed to know what's happening to him? You're the victim. You should be able to find out. If you have an incident report, you should be able to find out what happened. Yeah, you should be able to. If you call and say I was the victim of an assault, I'm calling to follow up and get a copy of the report, or I'm calling to find out what happened, they should. Now, when you say cops won't tell me anything about the guy, they may not want to tell you his name and address, but they should tell you what happened. Do you not have a go number, a report number? Yeah, follow up, and if they won't tell you anything, escalate and ask to talk to a sergeant. At least they can explain why nothing happened. And Elsa, I'm so happy that you found that you were here while I answered that. Let's try it again. I'm saying goodbye for real this time. Take care, be safe, and see you tomorrow.